I can tell you right now that this lesson is not going to be like a basic music theory lesson. There's no way I could squeeze that in 5 minutes. Which is why instead of a music theory lesson, we're just going to talk about some basic ergonomics on the guitar that'll really help you out on your journey of becoming both a better rhythm and a lead player. My name's Jesse Glick. This is a 5-Minute Monday. Let's get into it. So this first tip usually blows my students' mind as soon as we talk about it in a private lesson. And it's the idea that for whatever chord you're playing, let's take a C chord, there has to be a C chord that's attached to it further up the neck or behind it. So let's follow caged for this example. If I take the C shape of C, the next shape of a C chord is A. So if I go to the A shape, the root note that I'm using is 3rd fret A string, which is also the root note I'm using for the C shape. But here's where things get crazier. If I'm in the A shape of a C chord and I go to a G shape, check out what finger right now in the A shape is covering the D, G, and B strings. Ring finger, 5th fret. Now if I go to the G shape, my index finger is covering 5th fret, D, G, B. So I'm borrowing notes from the previous chord to play the next one. So this interlinks and connects every single C chord as we go up the neck. You can always find your next chord based off of some of the notes you're playing and the chord behind it. So while that's pretty cool, I think this is better shown with scales. There's a pentatonic scale attached to every chord shape in Caged. So if I play the A shape pentatonic, here's the scale. Every single note that I play on this side of the scale, so whether that's with my ring finger or with my pinky, those are all going to be the first notes in the next scale as we go up the neck. So check this out. Okay, ring finger, that means index finger is playing this note first in the next scale. So as I go up, this is going to be my index finger in the next scale. This is going to be my index finger in the next scale, and so on and so forth, which means that this scale for C and this scale are connected in the middle on this side by your ring or your pinky and on this side by your index finger. That's going to be the same as we go up the neck. So if you know this pentatonic scale really, really well, but you don't know the scale after it, if you know what notes you're playing with your pinky and your ring finger, you at least know what notes are supposed to be on this side of that next scale. So this note, this note, this note. So while tip 1 was a lot of information, let's just jump to tip 1.5 really quick. I'm just going to show you 3 really cool chords. This chord is a B flat major. So that's 1st fret E string, 1st fret A string, open D string, B flat major. Now if I lift up my ring finger, that's a D minor chord. So it's just 1st fret E string, open A string, open D string, D minor. Finally, check out this A major 7 shape. That's pretty nice. Tip number 2, everything that you know on the E string, the A string, and the D string, you can play the exact same thing on the A string, the D string, and the G string, as long as you start on the same root note. Check this out. I'm gonna play it actually in reverse. So if I take an E major chord, and I just take A string, D string, G string, that shape right there, I'm starting on a B note. So I'm gonna move that to a B note starting on the E string. So there's another E chord. E here, E here, E here. See how they sound a little bit different too because of the strings you're playing them on. So experiment around with this. Maybe you know a pentatonic lick that goes like this, starting on G. If I find G on the A string, I can play the exact mirror image of that lick. I think that was the lick I played, but experiment with that. So if you know this cool Hendrix chord right here, and that starts on an E note, I'm just gonna take that shape, find my E note on the low E, and play the same thing. Pretty cool. Tip number 3 is to subscribe, obviously. All right, so let's talk about tip number 4. This is gonna be how to find basic chord voicings anywhere you are on the guitar. What we're gonna do right now is take this A shape of an E major chord. So it's a major chord because we have our root, our 3rd, and our 5th, right? Here's our root, here's our 5th, here's our root, and here's our 3rd. If we want to change this chord up a little bit, all we need to do is take the highest root note and drop it down 1 fret. So in that case, we have this E note right here, 9th fret G string, If I drop it 1 fret, but keep every other string the same, that's a major 7 voicing. So I can take E chord, drop that E down, major 7. What if I drop that note 1 more? If I take that major 7 note and I lift up my middle finger, now it's an E7, E dominant 7th. So if you take a triad anywhere on the guitar and do that, you're gonna get those chord voicings. Let's take D major. This is my D note. So if I drop that note half a step down and play everything else the same, that's D major 7. If I take that note and drop it 1 more, that's D7. So now you know how to make a major chord, a major 7 chord, and a 7th chord. How do we make minor chords? Let's take any chord encaged. What about for like a C major chord? If I take a C, my 3rd's under my middle finger. So if I want it minor, just drop it down half a step. C minor. That's how you make a major chord, a major 7 chord, dominant 7th chord, and a minor chord. For our last tip, we're just going to talk really quick about how you can play arpeggios on 1 string. That's the beauty of the guitar. So if we have a C major chord, we can play arpeggios like this: root, 3rd, 5th. That sounds pretty stale. Piano players can do that. Let's play it on 1 string. Instead, root, 3rd, 5th. But let's spice it up a little bit. That was a C major arpeggio. I think we can agree which one sounds better. But really quick, what about a minor arpeggio? All we need to do is take that 3rd, drop it down 1 fret. So instead of this, C minor would be. And this works for any note on the guitar. So if I just pick a random note right now, E flat, 3rd, 5th. I'm doing these 5-Minute Monday videos every single Monday totally for free. So if you want to support me, just hit the subscribe button. That's the easiest thing you can do. Also, leave a comment if there's something you're curious about or want to know. I'm always down to help you out. Finally, I do teach private lessons on Zoom, so if you want more information about that, shoot me an email at jesseglickmusic@gmail.com. For now, though, my name's Jesse Glick. That was a 5-Minute Monday. I'll see you in the next one.